Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to the channel. It's Cynicalex, and I have a radical new idea to save you millions of gold. And it applies to all players, from whales to new players, free-to-play, spenders, everyone. It applies to everyone. And it can literally save you millions of gold a day. Okay, call me crazy. This might sound strange, okay? This is a bit of an out there idea, but I'm a 29-year-old man with a mustache talking about mobile games for the past 4 years. You know exactly what you signed up for when you started watching this channel and you click that subscribe button. Here we go with the comments. Joke's on you. I never pressed the subscribe button. Ha 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 ha. And then in brackets, JK Alex. I'm just joking. Please don't roast me. Anyways, love you guys. Here's the idea. Stop rolling for ISO-8 sets. Just stop completely. I know it sounds wild and it sounds dumb at the same time, but I'm going to explain why it makes sense. It's like a murder mystery. I'm going to show you the murder at the beginning of the show, and you're going to be like, oh my god, how did this happen? Who's the murderer? Who's going to solve it? And then I'll show you everything along the way, like one of those episodes of Luther. Great show, by the way, on the BBC. So let me explain how I reached the conclusion that you should stop rolling for ISO-8 sets, the genesis of this idea. So originally, I was going to make an updated gold farming guide. But then I was like, okay, I already talked about the winter thing here and how you can use boost points here, and that's actually gives you a decent amount of gold. And there really isn't that many new ways to farm for gold. Honestly, the way that most players are probably generating more gold nowadays than they realize is just by playing a lot more GBR. We're playing a lot more GBR because we want to farm these tokens and also these cubes, and it drops about 30,000 gold every time you run GBR with 0 boost points. So even if you're not using boost points and you run it 10 times a day, that's an extra 300,000 gold in your pocket. So you may have noticed, or you may just be wondering, like, why do I have more gold than usual, or why do I have less energy? But anyways, there really isn't much to say. As far as gold farming guides go, there honestly isn't much to say. So for those of you that are watching being like, oh man, gold farming guide, I'm sorry to disappoint you, but there just really isn't that much new. They took away a lot of the ways in which we could farm gold, either through hot time and other sort of tricks, and the daily missions that dropped a ton of gold, where you could sort of amplify that with a gold booster. All of that's just kind of dead in the water. So basically, the only ways to get gold now is just do your regular dimension missions, get your gold from this this thing, buy the shield support if you really want to, and get to VIP 1 for the co-op, and then farm giant boss raid and world boss invasion. There's really nothing new to talk about as far as gold is concerned. But you can technically farm gold by saving tons of gold by not doing things in the game. So this is where my brain sort of went the next step. I'm like, okay, so if I can't get the players to farm, like if I can't figure out ways for us to farm more gold, maybe I can talk to the player base and sort of explain ways that I save gold by not doing certain things. Probably the most famous example of this is I don't level up skills that don't have effects past level 3, and I've always gotten you know, fuss about this from some players. They're like, oh my god, level up your skills, Alex. I guess it bothers them to see the little plus sign there, and I understand, but it saves you a lot of gold. Leveling up a skill from 1 to 3 only costs 150,000, but as you can see, the very next step is 200,000. So it's the difference between spending 150,000 for a level 3 skill and spending like 600,000. So I'm saving myself like 450,000 gold per skill. A lot of characters have the level 3 skills on 2 or 3 skills, so I could be saving 1,000,000 gold per character. Multiplied by 200 characters, there you go, that's 200 million gold. That explains why I always have a floating 200 million gold. Anyways, so it's stuff like that, right? I'm trying to figure out ways to save you guys gold. And then I thought about it. Why don't we just stop rolling for ISO-8 sets? ISO-8 sets suck up a ton of gold, and I often give that advice to players, especially players who are like, man, Alex, I know your guide said overdrive or power rank Hulk. I'm really trying to get this one, but the game just keeps shafting me, all this BS, RNG, I keep rolling, I've wasted 5 million gold. And I'm like, bro, you wasted 5 million gold? And they're like, yeah. How long have you been playing? A month? Bro, don't spend 5 million gold rolling your ISO-8 set. That's just a waste of gold. It's not really going to impact the character that much. Now, it is true that the ISO-8 set helps, and it is true that especially for newer players, the ISO-8 set helps a lot because it's going to give you really crucial stats like 8% ignore defense, or 7% if you have the lower bonus, but it's still 7%. Or if you have a Hawk's Eye, it gives you 7% cooldown. 7% cooldown or 7% ignore defense. That's a spicy meatball for a new player. That's some good stuff. However, there's a better way. And this is how you're going to save tons of gold on basically skipping your ISO-8 set for all of your characters, because one of the most annoying things about ISO-8 sets is that they're individual. So I rolled an ISO-8 set for Molecule Man, cool. Now I have to go roll an ISO-8 set for the other MM, not Mother's Milk, Molten Man. And then I have to go roll another ISO-8 set for Gorilla Man, and then Ant-Man, and then Spider-Man, right? And Spider-Woman. So that's just a ton of gold. Like, there's just no way to get around it. Unless there was a way that I could give all of my characters an additional 8% skill cooldown and or 8% ignore defense. Huh. If only there was a way to give all of my characters a stat bump on my roster. Not only the characters that I have now, but the characters that I'll have in the future. I'm sort of playing this up. I'm hamming this up to sort of entertain you guys. Sorry. I don't want to seem like a jackass. I'm just doing this as a joke. Cards. Specifically, card crafting. Now, I wanted to make this a standalone video, but I was waiting to get up to 600 coins. As you can see, I'm painfully close. I was waiting to get up to 600 coins so that I could do a card crafting guide video alongside me pulling my second card. I was also hoping that the sort of good karma of creating a guide would help me pull the Luna Snow card, because it is basically one of the best cards, if not the best card in the game now, because of card crafting. Now, that's going to sound strange, but why is a card that doesn't have ignore defense or skill cooldown suddenly the best card in the game? Because of card crafting. Now, some of you are immediately going to get really defensive, and you're going to say, wow, Alex is supporting the card crafting system. I thought he was with the boycott. I thought he wanted the premium crystal, the premium cost and the crystals removed from card crafting. I still do. However, I'm not talking about re-rolling your crafted stats. I'm not talking about locking crafted stats. That's where you need crystals and premium cards. I'm just talking about crafting a premium card. And we already encourage new players to get 2 free premium cards from the Thor Legendary Battle. So even if you're a brand new player, and even if you're maybe not brand new, but even if you've only been playing this game for a couple of months and you're free to play, you could easily have 2 free premium cards. On top of the fact that you should be playing GBR as much as possible, you may by now, with the Battle Pass giving you 300 last time and 300 this time, you could have honestly pulled 3 premium cards. So there are players out there, maybe you're watching right now, who have been playing for less than 2 months consecutively, and they have 3 premium cards equipped. Why not start crafting on those premium cards? You don't have anything to lose, and you have a ton to gain. Let me explain. When you craft a premium card, by the way, you cannot craft a non-premium card. So let me just get this out of the way, and this is going to be discussed in more detail in my card guide video. Basically, non-premium cards are much lower value. I don't want to say they're worthless, but essentially dumping other mythic cards onto a non-premium card to try to re-roll it is basically pointless. You should just cobble together whatever stats you can with regular cards and premium cards and just work towards a set of 5 premium cards as fast as possible, because then you can craft on those cards. And even if they're bad crafts, you're bound to get at least 1 or 2 good stats, and that will make up for your cards, and you can honestly get yourself in a position where you do not need ISO-8 sets anymore. At least you won't need ISO-8 sets for the ignore defense or the cooldown. And that will take a ton of pressure off your account to re-roll for ISO-8 sets and spend all of that gold. Now, you're still going to be accumulating ISO-8s, so you're still going to want to equip it and stuff, but you'll be able to do it at a much slower pace because you won't be looking at a character who doesn't have an ISO-8 set. And honestly, off the top of my head, I can't give you one example, but you won't be looking at a character without an ISO-8 set and looking and seeing that gap in their stats. And I guess what I could do is I could just go to a character that doesn't have all of the ISO. I probably have at least one. Okay, I'm not using Molecule Man for anything, so I can just destroy one of these right now and show you guys what I'm talking about. So I'm just going to equip this here just to show you, right? So now I don't have an active ISO-8 set, right? I don't have the active bonus. So this is sort of simulating what I'm talking about not rolling a set. The problem here is because I haven't crafted my cards, when I go to the details page, I'm suddenly now missing 9% or 8.5% ignore defense. So looking there and being like, oh man, I need that ignore defense. That's why my characters are not doing so well. All of the roast videos and guide videos for every YouTuber, 50% skill cooldown, 50% ignore defense. You don't need to worry about that anymore if you get a couple of decent rolls on crafted stats. Combined with the fact that premium cards have 3 static stats, you're much more likely to be able to make up that amount. Now, you're still going to need to join an alliance and do all that stuff, but basically, when you craft a card, you're just using regular mythic cards. As you can see, I don't need to use any premium cards. So all of those mythic cards that you would have used to reroll regular non-mythic cards like Loki 17, don't do that. Just craft. Now, the first crafted stat is probably not going to be very good. It's going to be like energy defense, maybe dodge. The second premium crafted stat is probably not going to be that good either. But the third, I believe it's the third or the fourth crafted premium stat. Now, yes, that does take a lot of mythic cards. I will acknowledge that. But you should be farming for mythic cards anyways, and you should be dumping your dimension tokens into mythic card farming as a new player, not only to reroll your premium cards to make them good, but then to start this crafting process. Because ultimately, even if you put yourself behind farming some characters, if you can get a couple of cooldown rolls or a couple of ignore defense rolls or one of each on some crafted cards, you can literally end up with 40% cooldown or 36% cooldown on your cards and 40% ignore defense or 45, and you can literally not have to worry about ISO-8 sets. You can put that on the back burner for like 6 months and not have to worry about it and save all of that gold and put all of that ISO-8 set rolling gold to something else. Is this idea for every player? Is this an idea that every player is going to do? No. I know some of you guys are probably still looking at me like I'm crazy, and that's fair. But this is honestly not a bad idea. It's pretty out there. It's pretty radical, but I feel like with crafted stats, and I'm trying to go and find some of these bigger whales to show you what crafted stats look like, they do really make ISO-8 sets obsolete in a way. Not completely obsolete, because ISO-8 sets still serve a secondary purpose with their sort of activated bonus. You know, you have a 20 to 40% all attack buff that activates for 20 seconds. That's obviously worth a lot. You have the other secondary stats that you might not get on your card, crafted stats. You could still get them, but you might not get them, like attack speed, crit rate, crit damage, dodge, etc. You also have the defensive bonuses of other ISO-8 sets. I know some of you guys out there love PvP, so you're going to be rolling for, like, you know, I am also Groot or drastic density because you want the HP shield or you want the heal. Obviously, crafted stats are never going to be able to duplicate the HP shield or the heal. They can give you more max HP, which is really nice, but let me show you, for example. Let's say you got that Baby Spidey card for whatever reason, right? For however you got it. You crafted stats on you. See, this guy has 5 crafted stats. And again, he crafted these 5 stats, and there's a very good chance he didn't spend any premium currency to do that. He just spent regular mythic cards that he or she or they farmed up from playing ABX, dimension missions, etc., right? So this is free to play still. I'm not telling or suggesting or wanting anyone to spend premium currency or extra mythic or extra premium mythic cards, like premium cards. Take a look at these stats. Cold resist is bad. Max HP is bad. Okay, he's got physical defense, crit rate, crit damage. Not very good. Okay, but there we go. Right there on that one card, the crit rate and the crit damage, 11%. That covers overdrive. That covers the crit damage, crit rate of overdrive. See what I'm saying? Let's take a look at this card. Okay, he got poison resist, max HP, lightning resist. Let's take a look at this card. Man, I picked the worst person to show this example for. Let's take a look at this card. Okay, there we go. He got ignore defense as a third stat. Again, it's random, but you do have 5 cards equipped, if you have 5 premium cards, that you can craft on, and you can craft them all to the third step, right? Which each third step would cost you 15 mythic cards. So you're looking at 75 mythic cards across all 5 cards. But then you have 5 chances to roll an extra ignore defense or an extra skill cooldown. That card right there, that new Avengers card, is giving him 19% ignore defense on a single card. That's mental. Yeah. Okay, this card didn't, man, sorry to this player, man. You got super unlucky, this Japanese player. But look at this, 40, this is exactly what I was saying. 43, I mean, his other card stats are obscenely good, right? He's got 65% HP and he's got 50% all attack. I'm not talking about those stats. I don't really care about those stats. 25% cooldown is low, but 43% ignore defense, right? If he got just a little bit luckier, and if he had a couple of cards changed, like maybe, you know, change whatever, this card or this card, you know, you sort of get what I'm saying. He could have a completely different set. Let me take a look at one more player to try to show you guys what I'm talking about here. This guy, oh, he's only crafted 2 cards here. He got cooldown on the 5th option. So you can see there 11% cooldown on the 5th option. And then this card, no, he didn't get anything on that card. Okay. But you sort of see what I'm saying, right? So it's a wild idea. It's crazy. I know, I understand it's radical, but don't be afraid to use, my main message is the crafting system can definitely replace ISO-8 sets in a large way, to the point where you won't be like, I won't have to worry. I'll just whatever the first set that I get, right? If I get any good set, like instead of just having to get Power of Angry Hulk or Overdrive, I could get Power of Angry Hulk, Overdrive, Hawk's Eye, Drastic Density Enhancement, Binary Power. I would have like 5 or 6 sets that I would be able to accept as soon as I get them, because I'm no longer worried about any of those stats, those main stats, and I just want that extra effect that you get. And sure, the 20 to 40% attack is nice, but you can also make up for that on cards later in the future when you get luckier with some rerolls and stuff like that, right? So even that buff can technically be replaced. You can't really replace an attack buff because more attack is always better, but it's a 20% buff on a 60-second timer. You know, you're only getting it for a third of every minute anyways. So I wanted to make this video. I wanted to get that idea out there. I know it's wild. I know it's sort of kooky. That's why I tried to approach the video with a bit more of a lighthearted, jovial tone. But I think there is some good advice in there. And I think that some players are still just really scared of crafting their cards because of the boycott and because they don't want to be judged by other players. And I'm just trying to demystify that, because I still think they need to remove the premium card cost from rerolling. I still think they need to remove the crystal card cost from locking the crafted stats. And I still think they need to give us more mythic cards to farm. At the very, very least, what they need to do, or one way that they can fix this, is by giving us more premium card tokens to farm. Instead of 10 per day, we should be able to farm 50 per day, and then give us more crystals. If they give us more premium cards and they give us more crystals, then they don't necessarily have to tweak the system. They just have to raise the amount that we get to a level that can allow us to access the system without throwing thousands of dollars down the toilet, which is what I was saying, you know, months ago, for those of you that remember. But you don't even need to worry about that, because crafting the cards doesn't cost any premium currency. It only costs premium currency to reroll stats later, which is a luxury at this point, and to lock stats that you don't want to reroll, which is again a luxury. So all I'm saying is, if you're like me and you have a bunch of non-premium mythic cards just sitting in your inventory and you don't know what to do with them, and you're thinking of rerolling one of your regular non-premium cards, try crafting. Give it a shot. I'll make a dedicated video in a couple of days when I have enough tokens, and see if maybe you get lucky. You get ignore defense, you get skill cooldown. Maybe you don't have to worry about getting a particular ISO-8 set anymore. Let me know what you guys think. I'm curious to see what the comments are and what the reaction is to this video. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.